So hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel Physio's Healing Touch. So I hope you all are doing phenomenal in your life, and today in this video you will find information related to mobilization techniques of upper limb joints. So in this video I have covered glenohumeral joint, elbow joint and wrist joint. And in case you are new on my channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and don't forget to press that notification button. So this video is going to be super interesting, so let's start this video. So first I will tell you about the glenohumeral distraction. So for this, the resting position of glenohumeral joint is 55 degrees of flexion and 20 to 30 degrees of horizontal abduction. That means at this position, all the ligaments, all the soft tissue around the glenohumeral joint remain relaxed and we can easily perform mobilization techniques. Distraction is basically given to decrease the pain or to improve the general mobility around the glenohumeral joint. First, place the patient's limb in its resting position, that is 55 degrees of flexion and 20 to 30 degrees of horizontal abduction, that is in between your trunk and elbow. My proximal hand is placed in the patient's axilla region in such a way that my thumb is anterior and my fingers are posterior, and my distal hand is lateral to the humerus just to support it. Now with your proximal hand you have to move the humerus laterally, like the way I am doing in this video. Now next is glenohumeral caudal glide, also known as glenohumeral inferior glide, and it is given to increase the glenohumeral abduction range of motion. Place the limb in its resting position in between your trunk and hand to stabilize it. One hand will be placed on the distal humerus to provide grade 1 distraction, and another hand will be on the superior aspect of the humerus. First, provide a grade 1 distraction with the distal hand and then apply a caudal glide. Now for progression, abduct the arm to the end of its available range and then distract first with your distal hand and then apply a caudal glide. Now let me demonstrate about the glenohumeral posterior glide, and it is given to increase the flexion and internal rotation range of motion. Place the patient's limb in its resting position and stabilize that position by keeping the hand in between the trunk and arm of the examiner. One hand will be on the distal humerus to provide grade 1 distraction, and another hand will be on the superior aspect of the humerus to provide posterior glide. First, apply a distraction force and then apply a posterior gliding force. Always remember, it should be rhythmic and it should not be jerky. Now for progression of posterior glide, flex the patient's arm to 90 degrees and then internally rotate and then flex the patient's elbow and then apply a grade 1 distraction. You can also use a belt, or you can also use your hand to apply a grade 1 distraction and then push down at the elbow to apply a posterior glide. Now let me tell you about the glenohumeral anterior glide, and it is given to increase the glenohumeral extension and external rotation range of motion. Now always remember, according to concave convex rule, in glenohumeral joint the moving surface is convex, and because of that the glides will be always opposite to the movement. So for example, when I was doing abduction, the glide was inferior or caudal. When I was doing flexion, the glide was posterior, and when I was doing extension, the glide which I was giving was anterior. So glides will be always opposite to the movement according to concave convex rule. Now in this, the patient will be in prone line and we have to use a padding to stabilize the acromion. Now place the limb in its resting position, and with the distal limb you have to apply a grade 1 distraction, and with the superior hand it will apply a anterior glide. Now let's talk about the elbow joint. So elbow joint is basically made from humeroulnar joint and humeroradial joint. So first we will talk about the humeroulnar joint. So first we will perform the distraction of humeroulnar joint. The resting position is 70 degree of elbow flexion and 10 degree of supination. Now keep the elbow in its resting position, which is 70 degree of elbow flexion and 10 degree of supination. And then with your one hand you have to stabilize the anterior part of distal humerus, and the other hand, which is placed just proximal to the forearm, will apply the distraction force. Now we will talk about humeroulnar distal glide, also known as scooping motion. So it is given to increase the elbow flexion range of motion. The positions will be same. There will be any assistant, or with the help of belt you can stabilize the humerus, and with the other hand you have to grab the proximal forearm, and then first apply a distractive force and then apply a distal glide, which seems like a scooping motion. Now let's talk about the humeroradial articulation. So first we will talk about the distraction of humeroradial joint. So the resting position of humeroradial joint is complete elbow extension and complete supination of forearm. Keep the limb in its resting position, that is complete extension of elbow and supination of forearm, and then with one hand grab the medial portion of distal humerus, and with the other hand apply a distractive force, which is placed at the distal radius. Let's talk about the humeroradial, volar and dorsal glides. So dorsal glide is basically given to increase the elbow extension, and volar glide is basically given to increase elbow flexion. With one hand, stabilize the distal humerus from its medial side, and with the other hand, apply the volar and dorsal glides. Now let's talk about the wrist complex. So first we will talk about the radiocarpal joint. So first we will talk about the distraction of radiocarpal joint, and the resting position is slight wrist flexion and slight ulnar deviation. Wrist will be over the edge of the table, and one hand will be closest around the styloid process and fixate the ulna and radius against the table, and another hand will grasp the lower row of carpals. Now apply a distractive force. Now let's talk about the volar and dorsal glide of radiocarpal joint. And in this, the dorsal glide is given basically to increase flexion, and volar glide is given to increase the extension. The positioning will be completely same as distraction. Now to apply a dorsal glide, first distract and then apply a dorsal glide. Now for volar glide, first distract and then apply a volar glide. The positioning will be same as distraction and dorsal glide. Now let's talk about the radiocarpal ulnar glide. So yeah, that's it for my today's video, and thanks to all those people who have watched my video till the end, and I hope you derive some value out of it. So yeah, I'll see you in my next video.